Hi, my name's Ben Welsh, and I'm coming to you live from the Los Angeles Times newsroom. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to install the Jupyter Notebook development environment for the Python programming language on a Mac OS X computer. Jupyter Notebook is the emerging standard for publishing reproducible computer programming scripts in the sciences and in the media where I work. And in this video, I'm going to briefly show you how to install it inside of a Python virtual environment, how to start up its browser-based interface, and then how to write some elementary Python code within its system. All right, ready? Okay. So to start, we're going to take the mouse, we're going to move to the upper right-hand corner and click on the spotlight. There, we're going to open the terminal, or the command line prompt, where we can talk to our computer. If you're on Windows, you want to open Cygwin or the command prompt or whatever tool you happen to be using. I would recommend Cygwin. There are other alternatives as well. Now, once you're in your terminal here, you're going to need to navigate to the Python virtual environment where you want to install Jupyter. I've covered this in other videos, how to install it, and so you'll need to have figured that out on your own before you can take over where I'm starting off now. So if you haven't done that, you're going to want to go back and learn how to install a Python virtual environment and get it in place. I'm going to assume you've already done that, and I'm going to go there. All right, so on my computer, and hopefully on yours, you've created a code directory where you're storing your virtual environments. Mine is called code. I'm going to use the cd command to change directory into the code folder. And in there you can see, using the ls command, that I have a virtual environment called First Python Notebook, which is the name of the class that led me to create this folder. And so I'm going to jump into First Python Notebook. And now I'm going to use the source command to activate my notebook, which is something you need to do each and every time you jump into a virtual environment in Python. You need to activate it and turn it on so that it's now using the Python tools inside of your system. Now, when you make a new virtual environment, there's not much in it. It's really just the basic Python installation and a few simple third-party libraries that Python needs to do its job. You can always see what Python tools are available to you besides the standard stuff by using a tool called pip. Pip is a really handy Python tool that lets you install outside open source libraries from the internet, but also kind of keep track of what you already have installed on your computer. And a really handy command that you should get familiar with is called freeze. So if you type in pip, which is the name of the program, a space, and then the word freeze, and hit enter, pip is going to print out all of the third-party Python libraries that are installed. So in this case, in a brand new virtual environment on the version of Mac OS X that I'm running, there's really only 4 outside tools besides the standard Python stuff that have been installed. And you don't really need to worry about them. We're not going to use them as part of this class. I just wanted to illustrate that that's really kind of all there is. And what you don't see there is the Jupyter Notebook, which is a very complex and large software library maintained by dozens of people all around the world that is written in Python code but isn't pre-installed with your Python on your computer. It's something that you need to go and get and plug into your existing Python framework. And that's what pip is really good at. And so in this next step, now that we're inside our virtual environment, we're going to use pip to go off to the internet, to the big index of Python libraries that are out there, and to download and install inside the virtual environment the Jupyter Notebook software. All right, and that's again going to start off with pip, the pip command. Then we're going to type install, which is a pip command to install outside libraries. And then finally, we need to tell it what program we need it to go and get. And in the big phone book on the internet of these programs, I just happen to know the Jupyter Notebook is registered under the name Jupyter, which is like the planet Jupiter with the letters py in it. Within the Python world, they're very fond of puns that include py, which of course comes from the word Python itself. And so I just call it Jupyter because to me I think that's what's intended. However, I've met others who like to call it the Jupyter Notebook, and there's definitely different ways to interpret these types of things that happen and come up. So we're again going to type pip install Jupyter with a Y. All right, and again, this will go to the web, download the Jupyter Notebook software, and install it inside your virtual environment. All right, hit enter to kick off that process, which could take a minute depending on your internet connection and other factors. And if it fails due to your internet not holding up, it might say there's a timeout or some sort of web request error. If it fails in this process, just go ahead and rerun the command because it probably just needs to download it again and to finish that process. All right, so here I go. And you can see that one by one, pip is finding and installing not just the Jupyter Notebook, but the many, many other Python tools that Jupyter Notebook is taking advantage of to work. It's really kind of a collection of many, many other Python tools that are woven together into a complex browser interface to make writing Python code easier. And so you can see kind of the big list of them here. It's actually quite a few. And then some of these other dependencies have their own dependencies, and there's quite a lot of Python code being downloaded and installed onto your computer right now. So it could take a minute. It looks like mine is finished. One way I can verify that it's worked is to run that command we tried earlier, pip freeze, which you'll remember is just going to print out all of the Python libraries that are currently installed. So if I do pip space freeze, and then I press enter, you can see that the list is now a lot longer than it was before. There's now a long list of other Python programs that have been installed inside your virtual env, and you can scroll up and look at them if you're interested. But it all began just by installing this one, Jupyter, which then went via pip and installed all the rest. Okay, so now the Jupyter Notebook has been installed. How do we take advantage of it? How do we run it? Well, there's a command that comes with the Jupyter Notebook that, when executed, will start up inside your browser its environment for working with Python. And it's really very simple. It starts with Jupyter, just like that, again with a Y, and then the word notebook, which says, Dear Jupyter, I would like you to please start up your notebook software. So if we type Jupyter space notebook and then hit enter, it should start things up. And there it is. My default web browser, Google Chrome, has right before my eyes opened up a new interface, and this is it. This is the Jupyter Notebook. It's not too exciting to start, but what you see here at the beginning is a file browser that shows everything within the current directory of where I'm at, my virtual env. There's that bin folder, which has our activate file, which we ran before, and the other furniture that was pre-installed when we created a virtual env. And it's in this place that we can create our first notebook file. And the notebook file is the data type that supports all the interactive Python stuff that the notebook can do. But before I do that, I'm going to size up the text a little bit so that it's a little more legible. Let's see, is this too big? No, it doesn't look too bad. So now to create your first notebook, you're going to want to take your mouse, and there's a little pull-down menu here in the upper right sort of the interface that says New with a down arrow. You're going to click on that, and you're going to want to create your first Python 2 notebook, which just means it's a notebook that accepts version 2 of the Python programming language. If you happen to be doing this lesson in Python 3 and yours says Python 3, just go ahead and do that, but for the purposes of this lesson, we're going to stick to Python 2.